All right, hello and welcome everyone. We're breaking from the normal Patch Tuesday cadence because we got an emergency episode today. So this is a fast moving event, and it was worth pulling in Landon to help me out with this. So uh, we're talking today about this new Linux vulnerability. Disclosure happened on May 7th. The embargo was broken by an unrelated third party, not by the researcher, but the proof of concept code went public before any Linux distribution had a backport ready. So the researcher, Hyunwoo Kim, who goes by uh, uh, V4BEL Vable, I guess it is. It's really good vulnerability research. This is a Linux privilege escalation that's pretty significant called DirtyFrag, and this isn't just a flashy drop, but this is worth talking about. So,
Yeah,
welcome.
absolutely. Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I've always wanted to be on an emergency podcast. So again, like Jason said, this will just be real short episode. We'll have our normal Patch Tuesday stuff next Tuesday, I guess, but you get some more of us. So again, big one, proof of concept already available. Everything's out. We have a link to the worklet that mitigates this in the show notes that we'll put in there. So Jason, let's go into this. What exactly is this vulnerability? I guess there's two CVEs that are chained together on this one.
Yeah, that's correct. So DirtyFrag is the name of it. And it's exactly like you said, a Linux kernel local privilege escalation chain. And it got chained together two CVEs. The first one is 43284, so 2026 43284, and the other one is 43500. Again, more details in the podcast notes and in the blog. But one has a mainline patch, right? So it's in the mainline kernel distribution, or sorry, the mainline kernel, and it's patched. It has not made it down into distros. The other one has nothing. Like there's no patch for it yet, let alone making it down into individual distributions. And I think that's something that people don't always understand is just because the mainline kernel is patched doesn't mean that your particular distribution has that patch, replicated down into something that you can install through normal means. It takes a little bit in Linux to get these patches out, which is why these embargoes are so important. But what happens is it's a combination of two things. The first one's dirty pipe targets the pipe buffers, and then CopyFail targets the AEAD path, and then DirtyFrag targets the SK buff frag pages. So it's pretty this is basically a third generation of a set of vulnerabilities, and it's been tested on every major distribution: Ubuntu, Red Hat Enterprise, Alma, CentOS, OpenSUSE, Tumbleweed, Fedora. It works on all of them.
Yeah, and so both of these vulnerabilities just require local unprivileged user access, and that can get you to root, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. So it's a page cache write. An unprivileged user can rewrite the contents of files they only have read access to, including /etc password and user bin su. The changes persist in memory until a reboot or cache drop, which is a big problem, being able to change either of those. Yep. That's a massive attack vector also that an unprivileged user can use. So we don't know exactly where this vulnerability was discovered. It's out there though, but I think we were talking about this before the show, but with Mythos and CopyFail, which was released, I guess, last week, I think that's a fundamental change in the speed of vulnerabilities. It feels like. Jason, you want to? What do you think about that?
That's absolutely right, Landon. So when people talk about being Mythos ready, or where our focus has been of being able to patch and mitigate at frontier pace, right? Because again, it doesn't really matter whether it's Mythos or the next one or the next one. The trend of agents, agentic AI getting more and more capable at finding real meaningful bugs that are exploitable, that have an actual path to target, and have real world exploitation consequences. And most importantly, like what made Mythos really different, or where it excels apparently, based on news reports, is chaining together vulnerabilities. We're going to see a lot more of this, right? So I don't know how this one was discovered. It may have been manually. It may have been with some kind of AI assistance. I don't think it was with Mythos, but regardless, this is the same muscle that we're all going to have to, as a community, get a heck of a lot better at addressing as time goes on, because this is sort of thing is going to happen more and more. And I think there's also a point of easy confusion here of the CopyFail mitigation that we're all running around about last week does not stop DirtyFrag. They are two different things. So if you blocked CVE 2026 31431 and think that you're covered, you're not. AWS was very explicit about this in their blog. We reference it in our blog. That's again in the show notes. But that's the part that has me most concerned about this, is that people will skim the headlines, see that it's in the dirty pipe family, or see hey, Linux thing, and think that it's talking about CopyFail and that you have existing controls on it. You do not. That's a wrong assumption for DirtyFrag. So each generation of this bug class that's come out has been more universal, harder to mitigate by removing one component. So this one, DirtyFrag, specifically changed two arms to defeat both Ubuntu's namespace policy and the absence of what's called rxrpc.ko on many other distributions. So this is worse. It's much worse.
Absolutely. So mitigation wise, we shipped an Automux worklet. If you're an Automux customer, it's in the console. If you're not an Automux customer, it's publicly available. We'll have links, source on GitHub also. It doesn't toggle the system control knobs, doesn't drop the page casts. Both are deliberate. Both are explained in the blog. Jason, is there anything else you kind of want to go over on those worklets? I think you did a lot of the back end work on those also. So
I did the initial authoring, and then Ben Glass, our principal engineer, he leaned in and tuned them up and did the final review, got them ready for production, but and pushed them into production, because I will never ever push anything into production. That is, frowned upon to have the CTO able to touch prod. Honestly, what it comes down to is you need to block 5 kernel modules: ESP4, ESP6, IPComp4, IPComp6, and rxrpc, not just the 3. There's one set of guidance out there on a smaller blog that said just the 3. That was good initial advice, but upon further review, you have to do all 5. So that is what the worklets do. They also restrict unprivileged user namespace. And this is going to break some rootless containers, snap some browser sandboxes. So this is a bit of a per host call, right? Is local privilege escalation a danger to that box? If it is, you might have to take some reduced functionality or even some broken functionality in the short term.
Yeah. So it'll change some, break a little bit of functionality, like Jason said. So go check our blog, go check out the worklets. We'll be back on Tuesday with some more information. Wanted to get this out there just so we could have some more guidance around this. Jason, you have anything to add before we hop off?
I think the only thing is that expect more of these. And I don't mean that in the general, frontier pace sense. This is I think AWS hit the nail on the head when they call this a class, not a single CVE. That's the exact right framing, right? The page cache write pattern generalizes anywhere in the kernel, and it reuses a pin page as both source and destination. So the discipline that handles DirtyFrag is the same one that handles every unpatched Linux local privesc, inventory, automation, and clear path from we know about it to every endpoint is covered, which again, might be a mitigation, like hopefully a patch, but sometimes it's going to be a mitigation like this. And again, when you do the mitigation, you eventually want to get to the patch. Our advice always remains, eventually need to get to the patch once it's available.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I think that just from the start of this podcast, we've been talking about, hey, automating vulnerability remediation, like the time of exploit is coming down significantly. And this is just another one of those in that vein where that time to exploit is coming down significantly. I mean, the exploit is out there before the patch now.